So these are the top 5 places to find grants and cheap homes this year. So if you've been looking to buy a property, you're tired of renting, but you're frustrated because you want to know how to go from renting to owning, but you can't qualify for a mortgage, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 places to find grants as well as cheap homes this year that you can actually use to start your journey to home ownership. So with buying these properties, keep in mind that cheap homes doesn't mean that it's going to be cheap or dilapidated or broken down, but it means that you can actually get into the property with less money, or you get into the property not as expensive, and also the price point is affordable. It's not so high. So as we know, we're dealing with a lot of lack of affordability across the country, and many people are struggling just to keep up, not only with daily life, but also primarily their cost of living. So here at AskRinde, we focus primarily on affordability and affordable homes, and also helping people get into these properties on terms that are favorable for them. So number 1 would be the HUD Home Store. So the HUD Home Store is the Housing Urban Development's website where they actually share and display government-owned homes. Now, one of the key things in looking at properties on the HUD Home Store is to make sure that you're working with and you have a relationship with a HUD registered selling broker. This is very important. Now, if you actually want to work with a HUD registered selling broker, you can reach out to us because we actually can help you with HUD properties. So you can simply email me at askrindenetwork@gmail.com, or you can text me and we'll be able to help you get access to HUD homes. The key with working with a HUD registered selling broker is that many times they actually have the properties first. So they get the properties, and in some cases they may actually have them to put it on, but they know the inside, they know the details of the property. So working with a broker, having a relationship can go a long way in helping you to be able to not only find out particulars about the property, they would know more than the average public or those who are actually on a portal or in a HUD Home Store looking at the properties. They actually know more than those people. So you want to make sure that you actually have relationships with key agents. As I've said this many times over and over on my channel, is that had I known about relationships, strategic relationship partnerships with realtors, specific realtors in particular years ago, our portfolio will be much further along than what it is today. So you want to remember that life is a collection of relationships, and having key relationships with the right agent can go a long way in changing not only your net worth, but the entire real estate portfolio trajectory. So with the HUD Home Store, you can find cheap homes, foreclosures, and even $100 FHA deals. Yes, $100 FHA deals. There are some homes on this particular site that actually allow you to only put $100 down when you're getting FHA. So what you get with it is access to a nationwide inventory. You also get deeply discounted government-owned homes. As I've shared in the process, when it comes to the foreclosure process, many times there will be a list pendants that will be filed, and then they'll go through a gestation period through the process of changing title and foreclosing on the property, winterizing the property. And many times these properties, in some cases, they're not as what you may think. They're not as bad off. They just need cosmetic work done to them, or even in some cases paint. So they're deeply discounted because they're going through a status process with the previous owner, and they are actually HUD-owned properties. And maybe the previous lender or the previous borrower defaulted, and they've taken the property back, and they're now going to put it back on the market, and they've listed it with a HUD registered selling broker. So this is where you can find some homes that qualify for $100 down when it comes to FHA, selling cheap properties on there that you can actually buy, and it's a real way for you to actually buy these properties. We have clients that have bought properties for $1,000 that are now worth $600,000-$700,000, but they bought these years ago. So this actually works. So this site is constantly being updated with listings and new properties, making HUD homes some of the cheapest real estate in America. Number 2, local housing authorities. So real estate is a local business. If you're looking to find real estate, specifically real estate with matching grants or grants to go along with those real estate, local housing authority is an invaluable source. I've talked about this here many times on our channels when we've actually spoken about grants, specifically state grants that are for real estate. This is actually one of the key places that you can actually find not only grants, but you can also find homes and real estate, because the grants many times are earmarked for real estate. They may be first-time homebuyer grants. They also may be facade improvement grants for businesses. But having the relationships with these local housing authorities give you access to all of it. They may have a grant that's specifically for a commercial building, or it may be for a local business. They may have an initiative or a grant program, but they also may have an upcoming grant program that's for homeowners that actually need repairs done, or that's for homeowners or for home buyers that are looking to buy their first home and need help with down payment assistance. They also have emergency housing funds, and they're the first line when it comes to disbursement from the government. The government flows through to the state, and they actually go through these housing agencies first to see where the funds are going to go. So as they come through the funnel, they actually go to them, and then it's dispersed where it needs to be. That could be a local nonprofit. That could be directly as an incentive to the local community and those who actually live, pay taxes, and thrive in that community. In addition to that, as I shared earlier, there's also state and city DPA grants, down payment assistance grants, and these can actually be used for various causes. So as I shared, these grants are actually available, and they may have criteria attached to them. You can actually find the criteria if you actually just read and ask about what the criteria is for the grant. Specifically, if it's a grant that's given for real estate, there may be something as simple as they just want to make sure that it's going to be used within a specific time, or it may be used in a match grant format where you actually have to just bring 10% and then they'll cover the other 90%. There are different variables when it comes to the grant and how it goes with real estate, but they do exist, and many times they work with local housing authorities in order to disseminate the money. You'll find that many times these programs have to spend the money before a specific time, otherwise it goes back to the government. So not only do they not require you to repay it, but they have to push the money out. Sometimes they'll even run campaigns to be able to make the community aware that the money is available. If they don't spend the money, then the money actually has to go back to the government, which they want to make sure that they keep it locally so that they can actually not only keep their payroll going, but also enact and affect the community, keep things moving in the community. They'd rather keep the money on that level than have it go back to the government and have to reapply and go through the process and have the waiting period of the funds coming or being dispersed. So your city has free money. If you're looking to buy a house in your local area, there's free money available, but most people never check. So that's why we actually created our grants list, to be able to help you know what's available in your particular area if you fit the criteria. There are grants that are available that you can match make with real estate to buy properties cheap and also get the grants to go along with those properties to give you the least out of your pocket, the least deposit, the least amount of money that you have to come up with to be able to get into home ownership. So be intentional about connecting with your local housing authority because they can help you with grants, rent relief, and also down payment assistance options. Those relationships are good to have because you may be looking for a house now, but later on you may want to start a business and you want to have the benefit of getting grants for that business later on. So you have the best of both worlds by having the relationships and know them on a first name basis. Maybe take them a small gift, some cookies or something to be able to actually have them know you, because they are actually the first line when it comes to financing coming in for the local community, and they have access to a lot of different programs, not only locally but also regionally as well as nationally. They can really hook you up with free money. Number 3, the National Homebuyers Fund. So the National Homebuyers Fund is an organization that we've shared about here on our channel many times, and this is one of the largest funds that actually promotes finances as well as supports affordable housing around the country. Over the last 23 years, the NHF has helped over 64,900 families gain access to over $549 million in down payment assistance. Just think about that. That's a very big impact that they've made in helping families go from renting to owning. A great source for you to not only get access to grants and down payment assistance to buy your first home, but they also have relationships with realtors and brokers like us, where we actually have access to affordable homes as well as cheap homes and sources of cheap homes. So you want to lock in with an organization like the National Home Buyers Fund because they actually are a network. And they are actually connected all across the country, and they can help you with not only down payment assistance like this 64,900 families they've helped, but also help you connect with the right network to be able to get what you're looking for accomplished. So as we all know, one of the biggest roadblocks for many people who are buying homes is the down payment. That initial hurdle of coming up with that lump sum of money, you just can't get it. And many times, putting the credit aside, you may have good credit and you may have been a good steward and built up your credit. You just don't have the down payment for the house. That's why organizations like these are very valuable, and there's a great place to find yourself connected to, because they can give you the down payment, and all you need to do is bring your credit and also maybe having some reserves, and you can actually purchase your first home and start your process of home ownership, not just one property but multiple properties. So generally the NHF will give you a grant of up to 5% of the loan amount, and this is not just for married couples, but it's also for single parents. So this is something that single people and single parents can also apply for. They qualify for, if you're a single parent, to be able to apply for this. And imagine covering, this is more than FHA, they'll go up to 5%. So FHA is 3 to 3.5% down, so they can actually go up to 5% in a grant that you don't have to pay back. They'll give you the grant for buying the property, an affordable home, because they want to make sure that you can cover it, and they will give you up to 5% of the loan amount. So whatever the loan amount is, if it's 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, they will give you up to 5% of that in the form of a grant to be able to get you into that home. So they have multiple programs, from down payment assistance programs to an open door program to also energy assistance programs. So you can actually tap in with them and learn more about their programs based on your location to see what's beneficial for you. Number 4, state and county grant portals. So I can't say enough about this, but state and county grants have actually been a game changer for many people, especially entrepreneurs and people who are actually local in the area that knows what's going on. These grant programs give first-time homebuyer grants as well as forgivable loans. And if you're an entrepreneur and you've been someone who's actually gone to the SBA or gone to one of these local meetups to be able to see what you may be able to find out locally, you can actually see that state as well as local grant programs have not only changed your trajectory, but they've also reshaped some people's lives completely, because they gave them an opportunity that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Some businesses have gotten and received forgivable loans. They've also gotten first-time homebuyer grants for their properties and utilize these funds strategically to scale and make multi-million-dollar businesses. Remember, specifically with businesses on the local level, they're supporting the local economy. They're helping to generate tax revenue. So there's a lot of incentive on the state as well as county level to make sure that money flows to the residents to help them. And also to those who are renting that want to go from renting to owning to get into home ownership, because they continue to keep and retain their population. They want people living there. There are some declining markets where people are actually moving away from the area. So some of these states and counties realize that. They want to make sure that the residents and the population is retaining and also growing, because lenders will back out of declining markets. They won't even issue mortgages in those areas because they want to make sure that they're going to be able to recoup their money. So there's a lot of different moving parts and real reasons why state and county grants are available. And if you know how to actually find them and get access to them, they can actually help you get into your first home and also buy cheap homes. So these state and county grants can range from $5,000 to $25,000 grants. Money you don't have to pay back that you can actually use to buy cheap homes. And on the forgivable loan side, they can have loans and grants with no repayment from 5 to 10 years, giving you the ability to be able to not only generate revenue and make the money back, but also have the freedom and the flexibility of changes that may happen. So it's actually a benefit to you, and they create these programs and these grants with you in mind, knowing what is like in the local current climate and also what may happen in the future. So there are many of these grants that are available for teachers, first responders, as well as families. An example would be the NJH MFA program, which is actually a first-time home buyer program. And I've talked about this and I've shared this in one of our videos here, where you can actually learn more about that specific grant that's available for you if you're buying a property in New Jersey. There's also down payment assistance grants across the country in different markets. And there's also new ones this year that we are actually sharing our grant portal in our community. So if you know where to find them, you'll realize that your state gives out grants like scholarship money. And this is something that if you know where to find it, align yourself with the right realtors, align yourself with the right local counties, as well as state programs, you can get access to this free money to buy cheap homes. Number 5, and the 5th place to find grants as well as cheap homes are rent-to-own platforms, such as AskRinde. So our platform actually has the ability to share with you not only grants, but also rent-to-own homes in your local area. We cover all 50 states, and on a monthly basis, we're constantly aggregating to find available rent-to-own homes. Rent-to-own homes that you will not find online, because these rent-to-own homes come through absentee owners and private owners, as well as banks that we have relationships with. Some of these people have portfolios. So you may have an owner that lives in one state and they actually have 20 properties in a specific state. And this person is what we call a tired landlord. They've had the property for 25 years. That person may decide that 2 of those properties they actually want to rent to own. And that's what their choice is. They have some that they'll hold. They have some that they'll keep. They may have some that they want to rent to own. We have relationships with them. So those properties then become available in your local area, and they're available to give you the opportunity to start your journey to home ownership sooner rather than later. In other cases, there may be a bank that has a portfolio of 400 to 500 properties or more, and they may have a rental portfolio, and they want us to help them rent the property with the option to buy it. They want us to have a rent-to-own offer attached to that property as their agent. So we may have that property available, and you can actually rent to own that property and then buy from the bank 3 years down the line. So this is constantly available, and this is all about being networked and connected with the right sources. A rent-to-own platform can be a game changer because it not only gives you access to unique properties, but it also gives you access to be able to get into the property cheaply. So like I shared earlier in the video, buying a cheap property doesn't mean that the property is broken down and the property is not a good property, but it does mean that number one, you can get into the property not as expensive, and number two, you can actually negotiate to not have the property be as expensive. So as we see in the market right now, in many markets, things are just unaffordable, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking to start. The cost and the overall amount that you're going to need to come up with between your down payment, between all your reserves, your closing costs, is astronomical, and most people don't have that money sitting in the bank. So this is leaving many buyers sidelined, and they're struggling and they're frustrated because they're constantly renting, but they feel trapped. They want to get out of the rent trap and move into home ownership. However, it's just too high of a task. It's just too tall of an order. So utilizing rent-to-own platforms such as AskRinde can really help you in order to be able to get access to see rent-to-own homes in your area, but also get access to grants that are maybe local and available in your area, so you can start to tap into grant networks. Start to learn how to tap into grant networks, because grants are free money that you do not have to pay back. We've been talking about grants here for many years, over 7 years, and we've shared a lot about business grants. We've also shared about real estate grants, and also shared about down payment assistance grants. And having the right relationships can position you so that you can actually own real estate, invest in real estate by accessing and utilizing funds that are available that just most people don't go for. They just automatically go and try to get a pre-approval and struggle to get the funds on their own, when there's money available on the county level and the state level and different sources that you can actually tap into to get grants to buy real estate and buy real estate cheap. So our rent to own list and our grants list are available exclusively at AskRinde, and we update this on a monthly basis with what's available in the areas that we cover. We actually have access, and we cover all 50 states with different types of properties: 2-for-1 homes, rent to own homes, NACA homes, Section 8 homes, and much more. And the great thing about rent-to-own homes and getting properties cheaply is the low competition, because many people don't even know that these properties exist. They're not publicly available on Zillow, Redfin, or Google, or any of the other sources. These are exclusively just for that list and just to our network. So it's a great way for beginners to start, that have low savings and also no credit. They can go from renting to owning by starting the journey and utilizing rent-to-own platforms such as AskRinde. This is the fastest way to own a home without a very big down payment and without credit that's established, or credit that's ready to actually be received by an institutional loan, or ready to be received by a mortgage bank to give you a loan for a home. So I want to tell you to consider tapping into more grants and finding cheap homes to be able to buy your first home and also buy investment property. And you can actually tap in with us by watching a free webinar that I've created for you, 100% free webinar. You can actually click the link in the description below to watch this free webinar, learn more about rent to own, learn more about how to access grants that you can actually start to utilize today. Start by actually utilizing it for your home and then scale and use that for business, etc. Make grants a part of your life. Make grants a part of your access because it's free money that you don't have to pay back. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. You can also email me anytime. My email address is AskRindeNetwork@gmail.com. If you'd like us to cover your city and your state, make sure you drop your city and the state in the comment section below so we can make sure that we cover you. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.